Deith Daarta, Fatlagenachui, in Point Dad Witcheth. Today I'll be talking to Julian Holmes about some aspects of Cornish place names and be giving a brief report on the midsummer bonfire at Kit Hill. There's in Kenzalay. First of all, while I was in Callington, I took the opportunity to pay a visit to see some of the students from the first year language class there and found them talking about, what else, the weather.
Pitharistigi of heddiw.
Mi ar agus seddfa in Houseplan.
Play.
In Lower.
Father Angua.
Angua was per dome.
Alafi Goderi agus cows for pause and mir the les clues and Kesco's now. If I can just interrupt, glad to hear you speaking some Cornish here. I'd like to ask you a few questions about how you found Cornish this year. First of all, Tracy, when did you actually start learning?
Miss Hedra.
Miss Hedra, back in October?
Yeah.
So you've had best part of a year now. I don't know, have you found any particular difficulties? Has it been interesting, good fun?
Yeah, it's been interesting, it's not been too difficult.
Margaret, what do your family and friends think?
They think they quite like to hear me say a few. When I come back, they say something in Cornish.
So you're spreading the message a bit and getting everybody all keened up on it. Have you found the same as well?
Yes,
yeah, pretty much.
Yes, especially people down the pub. They're quite interested in it, really.
All right, good. Have you been to any events at all during the course of the year?
I went to the weekend.
To the language weekend?
Yeah.
Down near St.Ives?
Yeah.
How did you find that?
It wasn't too bad. Yeah, it was quite good.
You managed to understand some
of it,
Cornish, yeah. And you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Going next year?
Yes,
I'll try to go
going next year.
Oh, Delway Chaff, yeah. Is there any other events which have happened during the year which you've been to? Have you met up with other Cornish
speakers?
speakers?
We've had one or two up here at Christmas. We've had one up here. We got together with some of the people from this card and sang carols in Cornish.
It's a good way of learning, actually, singing, I think, if you're musically inclined, because you can sing it without understanding all the words, but at the same time you begin to pick things up at the same time. Aren't there any men in this class? Are all women here tonight? Is it just a female pursuit?
No, it's Richard and Charles.
Well, then we're going with Maureen Pearce, who discadores in class. Maureen, Pilia's person is in class, ma?
Intra 8 ha 10 person.
Between 8 and 10, so it fluctuates a bit. And have they all been working hard and learning well?
Oh, poor that.
And doing lots of homework? Of course, they've all been doing lots of homework.
Lots of homework.
So all your friends and family are all going to come along next year and join in? Yes or no?
I think so, yes. We've even got the town crier who's fairly interested. He might come along next year as well.
So we might get some town crying done in Cornish?
Yes.
In Kernewek.
In Kernewek. Miraz we all had chance da in Termina. Good luck to this lively group from Callington in their future studies. And then on to Kit Hill. For once, the weather was appropriate for Nos Galoan, St John's or Midsummer's Eve, with clear skies and a tremendous view in all directions. The midsummer bonfire is a tradition which goes back into the mists of time, almost certainly with pagan origins, to bring a blessing on the year's harvest. As with many ancient festivals, the midsummer bonfires became accommodated into the calendar of the church, so as not to deprive the local population of a feast night. Traditionally, a chain of fires would be lit in sequence across Cornwall, starting at Chapel Carnbray, near the Land's End, and ending in the east on Kit Hill. By the 1870s or thereabouts, the tradition was beginning to wane, but in 1929 the Old Cornwall movement re-established the practice. The ceremony is conducted in Cornish, with a translation in English, and starts with a prayer in honour of John the Baptist. Then the Master of Ceremonies commands the fire to be lit with these words.
Canin cunis lemingo uscis, ma tuo antantis in hanod Dieu.
Or in English, now set the pyre at once on fire, let flame aspire in God's high name. The Lady of the Flowers then speaks. The fire is lit and a bunch of plants is thrown into the fire. These include both good plants and bad plants, weeds and those with medicinal qualities. Panvith gorfennis and solemnita, and deus contellis aelon loan hay. Once the ceremony is finished, the gathered crowds can set to work with song and dance. There was singing in Cornish and English. Here's a snatch of Camborne Hill, in Cornish, from a group of Cornish speakers who made it to Kit Hill last Friday.
Oh, let's skin the break and run warren. Oh, let's skin the break and run warren. Pam march the go, row the draw gwyn, illa draw gwyn.
And now to the subject of place names, Agan Henwyn Telerio Kernewek, dear to the hearts of many, but also sometimes open to a degree of controversy. A lot of work has been done over the years trying to unravel the mysteries of our distinctive Cornish place names. Some strange interpretations have sometimes been put forward, but as time has gone on and our knowledge of the language and history of Cornwall has improved, so has our understanding of place names. Recent research by Oliver Padell has further added to this work, and his 2 books are well worth reading, particularly his Popular Dictionary of Cornish Place Names, published by Alison Hodge of Penzance. Another person who has been very interested in the study of place names is Julian Holmes of Liscard, a Cornish speaker who's been delving into the subject for a good few years and who has written a book called 1,000 Place Names Explained, published by Delanzo Truran, and which gives a fascinating insight into names which we often use without ever giving a thought as to their meaning. I called round to Julian's house and asked him first, how do you set about finding the derivations of names, and what problems have you encountered?
In Gwella Praise, Graham, ninjas atham them, Cuntal and Hinwin Corth O'Honan, Rak Moyaran and Oberavi Grease Ragani, Gans Tees and Terminus Pastias.
So most of the research has been done by looking through old papers in the past, making the job a lot easier now. But presumably some names remain a mystery, or at least they're open to more than one interpretation.
Henry Greer, Neil and the Bisquith Golfos and Steer Yoon, the Bapano in Kerno, Leas another of the Cabis, Changes, Podrethes, Guns and Tavas Solznek, during Canblavino.
So over the centuries, over the years, names have been corrupted, changed, sometimes beyond recognition. Can you give me any examples quickly?
Well, Henry Greer, on and there than Breeze you and Hanno Gilwis Hedu Crumplehorn in Polperro. Henry Hanno Pure Connect Pure Farthis Mortesan in Solznek. Mes in Kernewek he Steer Guir you Tromelhorn and you Trey Melhorn or Hanno Nep Pen Tilio in Terminus Passes.
So somebody's family name in the past and it's been changed beyond recognition. Right. Why are these studies of Cornish place names needed, do you think?
An ethel me honen you dreffen bos fwants the days golfos and steer August put days nep on and a govern orth if pana steer you the Hanno nep bargain tier po the nep dreveglis hagin with Eleni Diski Mira Daklo in cover and Tavas Kernewek Dre Whithra and Hinwin. So
the 2 things really, the people in Cornwall generally are wanting to find out what the name of the place they live in is. It's a rather unusual situation really. We live in a place where virtually all of the names are in a language which hardly any of the population actually understands. So people keep phoning you up and contacting you about those sort of things. And also you said it was a help for people learning the language, and it helps to throw light on words which perhaps don't crop up elsewhere. Can we, do you think, draw any parallels from place names in Wales or Brittany, where the languages and the history are so similar to Cornwall?
Leas Hanno in Kembra agin Breton Vin, you Feske Havel orth agin Henwin Nei, Great Ken, and Hinwin an Iglis, Hinwin Hotalas gans Lan po Iglis, po and Hinwin and Sins.
So church names, saints' names, have very often got an equivalent form in Wales or Brittany. And I suppose a lot of those names would now be not known within Cornwall apart from in the place name.
Well, sure, yeah, Henry Greer. In West, the Mazani in Kerno, Henwin, you Kevis in Enoch in Kerno, Dres Ken, and Henwin in Kever and Whelio Stain, in Kever and Stainwith.
So some names are found only in Cornwall, particularly those connected with the tin industry in the past. One final question here, Julian. Cornish speakers are now using names in the language which have perhaps been made more pure, having established what the root of the word is. Cornish speakers are now using that form. Do you think that people in Cornwall who don't know Cornish, who've been born and brought up in Looe or Helston or St.Ives or Bobbin or wherever, might get upset if people in the language movement come up with an alternative version of the name of their town, even if that version is closer to the Cornish? And can you allay any fears that people might have in this respect?
Well, I'm not pupprys ethom perthi called both do yes in Kernel, and more than the Kernewek rek nebes tees agarik diski glapia mes boy around and bobble in Jesus you were goes Solznek and ninjas chance the ni chanja in Iskus a full in Solznek a Heleni Gweitha and Firth Cabin and Firth as one is guns boy around and bobble mes panveni ocosal Kernewek gwelliud ni diwys ffurfo you mwy QR in Tavas Kernewek.
So Julian finished off there by saying that because there are two languages being used in Cornwall, it's only natural that two forms of place names should be found and used, as indeed in many other parts of Europe. And it doesn't mean to say that the more familiar form of the name becomes redundant. It would be a great pity if people were to have that idea. Well, anyway, Miraz the Julian Holmes Scaris, Henry Reed in the Nepeth the Broderian novel. That'll give us something to think about. Well, hen you all other worth Kroeder Kroghen have you. That's it for today. De waitchaf mi vis genachui kensre bell. Ha bis in irna du genachui.